Hey, everybody, how you doing? Woo! Welcome to PHLY Flyers Postgame, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me, that's right, it's Broad Street Hockey's own Kelly Hinkle, and
Victory toke.
The
belt's at home.
Yeah, of course, this is like our first show in studio where they won since I got the belt, and I forgot it.
That's all right.
So it was a guaranteed win, honestly, because I forgot the victory, our victory prize. But regardless, man, Hinkle, after that first period, I'm sitting there like, okay.
I was so grumpy.
We're going to do like the quarter century team stuff. Like we are going to kill 60 minutes because there ain't nothing good to talk about in this game. Flyers down 2-0 after one. Not a ton of life. Just not much going on. Few goals from Sam Ersson. And then suddenly it is a whole different team in the second period. Garnet Hathaway comes out, kind of sets the tone with a big hit in the corner, scores a goal. The team really picks it up from there, and that's what we have, a 4-3, the rare regulation win for the Flyers. Two in a row. And there's a lot to talk about with tonight's game. I want to start. It should be Noah Cates, but I want to get the goalie out of the way.
Yeah, let's talk about him.
So Sam Ersson, we hear pre-game, Jackie Spiegel tweets that the coach of Sweden's Four Nations team is in the building, perhaps scouting Ersson. Of course, Linus Ullmark out with a back injury. So that's one of their three goalies. And I was like, yeah, based on his results this year, I don't know if I really see it, you know? And then I looked up all the Swedish goalies, and yeah, he's like the fourth best one. So it's like the three guys they have, one of whom is hurt, and then it's Sam. So perhaps it makes sense. And he didn't make the greatest first impression, Kelly.
I was going to say, he was playing like he did not want to go to Four Nations.
Yeah, first two goals. Listen, the first goal he gives up, the Sam Reinhart shorthanded goal. Real bad turnover by Jamie Drysdale at the blue line. Just kind of throws it blindly across the ice. TK isn't there. He's backing up. Reinhart picks up the puck. He's off to the races. TK clearly not a defenseman. Him skating backwards trying to defend Sam Reinhart, who scored his league-leading fifth shorthanded goal of the season.
He's pretty good.
It was no match for him, and then suddenly it's Reinhart 1-on-0. He undresses Ersson, and yeah, you'd like a save there. He did kind of pull him apart, and then the next one is the Belinkus goal.
Belinkus? That's a real guy.
Belinkus. He just rips a wrist shot from distance. I guess there's a little bit of a Cam York screen.
Nah, dude.
But he has enough time to stop that. And suddenly it's kind of the same script as the last time these two teams played.
Yep.
Goalie lets in a couple of mad goals. And you're wondering, is this one kind of going to get out of hand? Broadcast talking a little bit like, oh, you know, so the emotion of Saturday, it was such a big game. Maybe this is kind of a letdown game. And that's absolutely what it felt like through 20 minutes. But then Garnet Hathaway, about 8 minutes into the second, gets the Flyers on the board. Noah Cates gets his first on the power play. They give one right back up to Sam Reinhart, a shorthanded goal followed by a power play goal for Reinhart. But then Morgan Frost on the power play. Man, that's something. But Ersson, after the first period, was pretty decent.
In the third,
the Reinhart power play goal, you want him to make that stop, but it is Sam Reinhart. He did score. It was his 27th of the season. He did score, 56, 57 last year.
He's very good.
I have a lot of, like, when it's a legitimately great goal scorer like Sam Reinhart is, I have trouble blaming the goalie, but not the best night for Ersson. He made, in that third period, final 3 minutes, protecting the lead. We make 3-4 saves in a row down low to preserve it.
He looked like a madman at the end of the
up and down game for Ersson. What do you come away thinking after all that?
So I feel pretty good about it because, as you said, the beginning of this game was ugly. From all sides of the ice, but Ersson specifically did not look great. That second goal, I think he really should have had. That did not seem like a very tough goal for an NHL goaltender to stop. And he could have very easily gone downhill. We've seen him do it a bunch of times this season.
And that was kind of a thing last year, especially once the wheels started to come off a little bit. Yeah, it was
like you knew you were getting good Ersson or bad Ersson.
First 5 shots he faced, you knew what you were getting. And I would often advocate, like, as soon as he gives up the first one, get him out of there. Like, if he gives up an early goal, get him out, because it's just going to go downhill from here. We saw it time and time again. This was a good bounce back for him after a really rough first period. The numbers don't look great at the end of the day. I feel like that's every game this season. Goaltender look great. Numbers don't look at him. Yeah, we could probably play a recording of me. Like, stop 20 of 23 for an 870. Like, nothing special there. Yeah. But he did make some key saves at the end to preserve the lead and ultimately preserve the win. We'll see. We got to assume it's going to be Ivan Fedotov in Columbus tomorrow. We will see how that goes and how this rotation plays out, because I am of the opinion that they should play all 3. And
I'm sticking with that too.
We'll see if they go back to Sam Ersson. Probably not tomorrow. That would be shocking.
That would be insane.
That would just be dumb.
Quite honestly, have questions they can't if they do that. I mean, like, how much could you hate Ivan Fedotov?
That's not going to happen.
Ersson in the back.
They'll go with 6 guys before they go with Ersson again.
Put Konecny in there.
Yeah, put Konecny in there. He's got to be a better goalie and is a defenseman. But we'll see how the rotation plays out over the next month or so. We got to give some love to the power play, Hinkle.
The power play.
So Saturday was the first time this season the Flyers scored multiple power play goals at home. Like, the power play has been bad most of the year, but they did score some goals on the road, so, like, early in the year especially. So, like, their road numbers look, I wouldn't say good, but at least better than how bad they are at home. But Kevin Kerr has tweeted this out, and this is insane. This is the first time in John Tortorella, Rocky Thompson era that Flyers have had multiple power play goals in back-to-back games. Kelly,
that's an elite pull from Kerrs. I really needed that fact.
This is game 208 of the John Tortorella era. 208. In the first 207, never once did they score multiple power. And listen, this is a lot like how we were talking last studio show when we were talking about the goalies.
Yeah.
Like, we're running out of words. Like, the thesaurus, I don't have the vocabulary to describe how bad the goaltenders are, and we can say the same thing about the goaltending, especially this season. Power play, my God, has just been so freaking bad. I can't believe, though, 207 consecutive games. Never once did they score 2 power play goals consecutively.
Has anyone had a longer leash than Rocky Thompson? What does he have?
Like Ian LePerrier's penalty kill. How long did that last?
Oh, that's fair. Ian LePerrier might have a longer leash than Rocky Thompson, but it is pretty remarkable that you couldn't string 4 power play goals together over the course of 2 games.
Like, even like a situation where you score 2 in one game and then another game, like, you get 1 and then the other team like takes a penalty and pulls their goalie to go 5-on-5 at the end. I don't know. Just the number of things that could possibly play out for that to be but tonight they come through. And they came through in a pretty big freaking way. The power play giveth and taketh away. Obviously, the first one, Drysdale with the rough turnover that leads to the shorthanded goal.
Yeah.
But he makes up for it on the assist on the Morgan Frost goal to get the puck down low to Michkov, who tapped it out front.
He looked great.
Frost put it home. That was a really nice play to get the puck to that far post there. And I guess it's just a learning process. Like, Drysdale's one of the guys I want to ask Charlie about. Like, we all agree Saturday was one of, if not the best game of his Flyers career.
Yeah, high point.
How did he follow that up? That turnover that leads to the shorthanded goal, ugly, and you go, oh, that stinks for him after such a great game.
Yeah.
But he comes back and makes some plays later on. But maybe this power play can get going a little. Like, 4 goals in 2 games. Like, that's the most they've had in a 2-game span in 3 years.
Even on the ones they didn't score on tonight, visually,
they at least
they looked better.
Even the ones that didn't result in goals or the entire 2 minutes wasn't the most productive.
They had,
You saw them move the puck.
Yes.
be where they're supposed to be, get some chances. So you got to hope that this power play it is insane to me that they score at a higher rate when there's the same number of guys on the ice.
It doesn't make a lot of
than
sense.
they do when there's fewer for the opposite team.
Eventually, you would just assume that, like, I don't know, like physics or something would take over and they would simply score goals.
Regression
on the
to the mean, as Charlie would say.
Something mathematical would happen that would make it make sense.
You would think that something, it's impossible to describe how, I mean, I guess that stat says it.
Yeah.
We are now more than 2.5 seasons through the John Tortorella experience, and this is the first time, game 208, that they have consecutive games with multiple
progress is
power
happening.
play goals. Yeah, I guess that's progress.
We're moving forward, baby.
Rocky just holding on to that job.
Rocky's
for dear
figuring
life.
it out.
Maybe he does other
slowly
things.
but surely.
Maybe he does other things real well. I don't know. I don't. All right. Before,
one time he took his shirt off.
Before we go any further, I got to tell you about our presenting sponsor, our friends at Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Now, I told you before the game, I was betting the Matvei Michkov anytime goal. I wanted the over 0.5 point. He wasn't listed in the points market, so I bet the goal. But I did recommend, although I did not take it myself, Garnett Hathaway. That came through. So if you said Bill didn't bet this, but he thinks it, I'm going to go with that because he's obviously a mush. I'm not going to bet the anytime goal, but I'll get the thing that he didn't actually bet. Well, you won at Bet365 tonight. I've been placing all my bets with Bet365 this season, whether it's the pregame props, futures, still hoping on that Michkov Calder trophy to come through. But we have breaking news from Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you bet just $5. Sign up, use code PHLY365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and much more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or somebody who knows a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. And while we're here, listen, you won big maybe on that Garnett Hathaway anytime goal. Now you need to spend that money on your significant other, and there's no better place to do it than at Golden Nugget Jewelers. It's no fun hunting for rings. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You're about to spend a ton. That's why you got to go with the experts. And where are they? They're at 8th and Chestnut in downtown Philly, a family-owned and operated business since 1987. And if you're getting engaged, they have a wide assortment of rings and wedding bands to fit anyone's style. And it's not just wedding jewelry. You can find watches, diamond necklaces, diamond bracelets, earrings, and so much more. You deserve an expert and the best price. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Head over to GoldenNuggetJewelers.com to learn more. I can speak.
You did great.
All right. So that's, the goalie and the power play. We get a mixed bag out of one, some signs of life from the other. Both contribute to the win in the third period. So that's nice. Overcoming a 2-0 deficit in the first period. Looking like absolute garbage after one of the best games we've seen in years out of this team. Probably the best game we've seen in years. At least since, I don't know, the bubble, like the round robin. When they swept that 3-game round robin in 2020. I mean, whatever the hell that thing was.
Hard to argue.
Was it the regular season? Was it the playoffs? I don't know. It's the pre-tournament tournament. Yeah. Whatever that was. It's been a while. And there you go. Yep.
All right.
But we got it now. The thing that was the player who was most impressive tonight, and he's going to, spoiler, he's going to be Charlie's number one star. Noah Cates.
Noah Cates.
2 goals, including the game winner. He has now has 9 goals this season. All 9 goals and 17 points in the last 25 games. 8 goals, 14 points in the last 16 games. Nearly a point a game for the last few weeks here. Scoring, making plays, doing everything that more than everything we could possibly expect from this guy who last year had a really down season coming off the good rookie year in Torts' first year. He gets hurt, has to restart, just never got anything going. And we come into the year like, what the hell is Noah Cates? Like, what is this guy? And he's
vintage
sitting.
Mike Richards.
He's
apparently.
sitting to start the year.
Yeah.
Jet Luchenko, 18-year-old, playing over Noah Cates. And now suddenly, I know we've been like, oh, man, he's going to really slot in as the great future 3C. And there's a really good chance that's what he is. But right now,
1C,
he is this team's best center, and it ain't close.
I know breaking up that line is insane, given how well it's playing. But wouldn't you like to see Mike Matvei Michkov with Noah Cates right now? Because I would kind of like to see it.
I want Cates with Forster and Michkov, yes. But
I want that line.
I get why they don't.
I know. I understand why they don't, because you don't break it when it's rolling like this. But maybe for a shift or two, you throw Michkov out there and bring spot and see what happens.
And that you were getting those three with Michkov and Ristolainen on the power play for a little bit there. Tonight, Michkov is out there with the first unit. Joel Farabee not playing, so he's basically taking his spot over on that power play unit. And they went with the Cates line with two defensemen, Risto and Sanheim, on the second unit. So listen, power play did its job tonight. Hard to complain, but it is just so nice to see a guy like Noah Cates breaking out and claiming a spot for himself, like carving out a thing that was totally not guaranteed, even like a month and a half ago, for everyone to kind of be thinking, yo, he's a restricted free agent on July 1st. Obviously, no one wants to give him, oh, yeah, man, let's give him 8 years. Let's give him a whole bag of money. But
4?
I definitely want to see him kept around.
Oh, like, yeah.
He's not one of the guys I'm like, on my pluses and minuses sheet in my head, like, oh, yeah, he's got to go. I'm done with this guy. He has really, and he's got to keep it up for the rest of the year.
Sure.
But right now, he just looks like a dude who you want to have a part of this.
That second goal.
Beautiful.
Was unbelievably awesome to watch. It was, and several people actually made this comparison on the socials media, vintage Mike Richards.
Yeah.
Like, that was a Richards goal. Just like the way he knocked it down, the way he got, like, it was just beautiful to watch.
Like, one of the reasons I want to have him with Michkov is I've thought that the best stylistic fit with Michkov so far to me has been Sean Couturier, and we're going to get to them together in a little bit because of the IQ. Like, we can sit there and talk about Morgan Frost's skill, and you want a guy with that sort of offensive upside playing with Mish, but if he can't think what Michkov is thinking, it doesn't matter. And what Couturier lacks in like high-end skill at this point in his career, he definitely knows where to go. Right, yes. And that's kind of what you're looking for. And that's, well, Cates is kind of that guy. Yeah. Like, he really thinks the game well. And the knock it down and then try to play it over to, I think, Bobby Brink. But to have the awareness to stick with it, like, oh, this ain't going to make it. It's coming back to me. And he's able to corral it and then make a great move on Bob to score. Backhand top shelf. What the hell else can you ask for?
It was incredible.
I was like, oh, that's a nice play, but he ain't. Oh my God, it did go in.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't even a question. That was a beaut. I am really happy. The way I was happy for Jamie Drysdale the other night, I'm just happy that Noah Cates is like seizing this opportunity right now.
I'm going to watch that goal 7 or 8 times before the week is through.
It was really, really nice. Let's talk about Morgan Frost, because he played a pretty damn good game.
Morgan Frost is doing
his
the
thing.
Morgan Frost. January is frosty time, baby.
It is, man. That snow's still snow hasn't melted all the way off my front lawn.
It gets cold outside, and that man comes on.
Frost gets hot.
There it is.
I thought he was everywhere in the second period, like in front of the net, making plays. He might be their best net front guy, quite honestly. He's really good at boxing out and kind of getting rebound opportunities and stuff. But he's now on a 3-game goal streak. He had a career-high 7 shots on net tonight.
Nice.
He finishes with 7 shots on goal, as well as 3 hits from Morgan Frost. When you watch him on a streak like this, does it Usually I come on here and, I change my opinion about everything
Of course.
3 times a week.
That's what we do.
But when I see Frost now in his 3rd year on this little second half hot streak he's on, I'm like, if the Maple Leafs call up asking for a center tomorrow, they want a depth center who can add some offense. If they call up asking for him tomorrow, it's like, yeah, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Like where I am with Noah Cates, I am on the opposite. Like I am happy for Noah Cates. Good for him. I want to keep him around because I think he can give you something. Yeah. And he's a player who, when he's not scoring, can do other things for you. Morgan Frost is either invisible or on his little second half January hot streak. Let's take advantage.
So here's the thing. Like, I, like you, have a goldfish brain for hockey.
Sure.
And I'm no longer mad at Morgan Frost.
No.
The second half counts just as much as the first half. That Morgan Frost is dead to me. This new Morgan Frost, I love and enjoy. However,
I don't want to watch that next year.
If someone were to ask for him, then yes, you would absolutely trade him because next year I'll be mad at him again. So, yeah, but I mean, for right now, as we slide into the second half of the season, like I'm gonna have fun watching Morgan Frost do second half Morgan Frost things. It's fun when he's good.
And I don't think it's a coincidence that right now he's with Owen Tippett. And he was with Tippett. He was with Tippett with Michkov, but it wasn't really working all that much. And when it was kind of Tippett and Michkov, and then Frost is just out there taking faceoffs. But we're seeing that those two who've had chemistry in the past, and of course TK's out there. Like, yes, when you have a star level player like Travis Konechny, it kind of takes the pressure off the other guys, and we're seeing a big explosion from Morgan Frost over the last couple of games. Hopefully he can keep it up. Did you see the Elliot Friedman? It was on his pod today where he was talking about. He leads off just talking about the Anaheim game and like how it was the best thing of the season. Then they talk about Scott Laughton and how.
The Laughton to Leafs rumors are really.
He said a couple of shows ago, I just don't think they're all that interested in trading Laughton. But I got some pushback on that. Danny has he did it in the past, waiting out the Sean Walker market and ultimately getting his first rounder. Even if he had to take on the Johansson contract, he still got what his asking price. It's like, but they also have said like out loud on the record into a microphone and camera, we are going to need to be overpaid for Scott Laughton. And like, if that's the case, then they have to be willing to move on from some other guys.
Sure.
We've heard, Frost has had his troubles. He's had his cold streaks. Him and Tortorella have a whole thing, but they think there's still something there. They can't possibly be playing this game of we need to hold on to Frost and see more. Like, he is exactly what you think he is at this point.
I mean, like, obviously, I have no way of knowing this, but I would be incredibly shocked to hear that, like, they received an offer for Morgan Frost that they just were like, nah, no thanks. Like, Laughton's a different story. Yeah, he held out for what he wanted from Walker, but Sean Walker meant nothing to this franchise. Scott Laughton is obviously an extremely important piece. So, yeah, I can see them wanting to be overpaid. I feel like if someone made an offer for Morgan Frost, they'd be listening.
I'll tell you what I wouldn't give up for anything. I would never trade Philly's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor, not even for a first-round pick. Charlie, first and foremost, your thoughts.
For hanging a third.
Your thoughts on the game and any standout comments from Torts and the players.
Yeah, I mean, this was the Noah Cates game. Obviously, he's been in the midst of this breakout for quite a while. I think we're past the point of it just being a hot streak. I think I'm not expecting him to be a point-per-game player, but I think this improvement is real, and obviously he's the hero. That said, I did find it very interesting talking to the players, talking to John Tortorella. A lot of times they will be mum about things that were said behind closed doors, in between periods, whatever, and they didn't say specifics. But everyone basically said that, they gave themselves a real talking to after that first period. And there was long conversations happening in that room, basically just that this is unacceptable, because they played terribly in the first period. That was an awful period. They barely had the puck. They were getting forechecked to death. They weren't recovering pucks. They just didn't have the same fight, anywhere near the same fight that they had 2 nights ago during the Cutter Gauthier game. And you were looking at it, you're like, okay, well, Florida's just going to roll. because they're Florida. They're one of the best teams in the league. They're defending champs, and they had the Flyers on the ropes. And I don't know what exactly was said in that room during the first intermission, but they came out in the second period and they were a totally different team. And the rest of the game, they played great. They played exactly the way they played against Anaheim, except against a significantly better opponent. And I think sometimes we can overrate the importance of, a fiery locker room speech or, guys yelling at each other saying that we got to play better. But in this particular case, it seemed like enough guys brought it up that I guess it really did have an impact. And you saw it on the ice. They went from being awful to probably outplaying one of the best teams in hockey, the defending champ. So I don't know what specific words were said in that room after the first intermission, but they sure as hell seems to have been the right ones because it fixed the team.
Now, so they obviously knew that effort in the first 20 minutes was completely unacceptable. On the broadcast, they brought up the idea of like such an emotional high Saturday. And then, it's the defending champs, and you want to be up for every game. This is a team built on hard work. But do you maybe buy the idea of them having trouble maybe matching where they were Saturday and needing that first 20 minutes, like kind of getting their ass kicked to wake them up a little bit? Is that maybe a way to explain it?
Could have been. And also, you do have to remember that Florida is a really, really good team.
Yeah.
You give them an inch, they're going to take a mile because that's just how good of a team they are. And, maybe against a team like Anaheim, they could have had that first period and still generated shots and chances and just kind of sleptwalk through and we're still okay. But if you do that kind of effort against the Panthers, they're going to kill you. And that's what happened. You also had Sam Ersson struggle. That didn't help. But do I think that there could be something to that? Sure. It's psychology, so I can't put myself in the heads of the players. But it wouldn't blow me away if there was like a little bit of an emotional letdown. But that also makes it even more impressive that they were able to, basically recalibrate on the fly because, again, they're playing a great team. They don't have it in the first period. Most Flyers teams, I would say, most teams, period, would just have that last the entire game. Instead, they found a way to put a stop to it after just 20 minutes and then deliver a really, really good final 40. So props to them.
We're getting a lot of good feedback about your hair tonight, Chuck. People
like
are
it.
digging it.
You look great.
Sam Ersson. We saw Jackie Spiegel tweet that Sweden's coach for the Four Nations was in attendance, and maybe Ersson is in consideration for Olmark's spot with him dealing with injury. What did you think of Sam coming off that 22 save shutout on Saturday?
Well, he was terrible in the first period. And then the rest of the game, I didn't love the one goal, the goal that kind of went through him. But I will say that save late on Anton Lundell, and a bunch of guys brought that up. That's a monster save. And that was a desperation save, fantastic play. Look, do I think that he dramatically helped his case to be on Team Sweden by the way he played tonight? No. Especially that second goal, but the first goal too, he didn't play well. Second goal was awful. And then the one goal, I believe it was the third one, the power play goal.
Right,
that one was rough too. He just kind of let it go through him. But, in the end, he made a big save. He made a big save at the big time. He was talking to the Swedish head coach in the locker room after the game. They were chatting it up. So clearly there was something to this, doing a little scouting just in case. Did he help his case dramatically? No. But I like the fact that, like the Flyers, he was able to shake off a really bad first period and get back on track, at least to a degree, and then obviously make that huge save late in the third period to lock down the win.
All right, Charlie, I'm going to do something coaches and players hate, and you as an excellent journalist would never do. Noah Cates. Talk about him.
Talk about Noah Cates.
That's the question, Charlie. Noah Cates.
That's the question. It's not a question. It's a statement. It's a
talk about him.
Talk about him? Question mark. He was great tonight, and he's been great most nights. This is not it's not a surprise anymore when he plays well. Now, was I surprised that he looked as fast as he did on that rush, and that he pulled off a move like he pulled off to score the game winner? Yeah, that surprised me a little bit. I didn't quite realize he had that kind of one-on-one breakaway skill in him, but we're learning something new seemingly every game about Noah Cates. One thing that I thought was really cool, and it's definitely worth watching if you're not watching, and you're not because you're watching our show instead. If you didn't watch the post-game interviews, we will actually have, I believe, the interviews up on our YouTube channel in the next few hours. It's going to be something we're doing more of in the future. But Garnet Hathaway had a really, really good answer. Because I asked him about Noah Cates. I basically said, look, you've gotten to know this guy as a player, but also as a person these last 2 years. What's it like as a teammate to watch him, take this leap? And Garnet Hathaway is a very, people may not realize it because he kind of is the tough guy. He gets in fights. He stirs up things. He's a really smart guy, and he's a really think about his answers, and he comes off as very sincere. Like, he sincerely delivers his answers, and you could tell that he just thinks that Noah Cates is like the best dude ever, and that he is sincerely and genuinely happy for Noah Cates as a player and a person, that he's taking this leap. And I think he called him an old soul. Like, he just had a lot of really, really good lines about Noah Cates. You could just tell he really likes the kid, and he's really genuinely happy for him. It's one of those things where, how can you not be excited for him? This is a guy, and Tortorella brought it up in his post-game presser. He didn't even play in the beginning of the year. He was a healthy scratch. He was the guy who gave way for Jet Lushenko because Jet had to be on the team. Now, you could make a case that over the last month, he's been the team's most effective forward. Like, I don't think that is a crazy case.
No,
it's true.
Konechny probably still is because he's their star. He's their best player. But Cates is right there with him. And the fact that he plays center and he's solidified a position that obviously is a problem area, let's say, for the Flyers, just adds to the importance of Cates' breakout. I don't know what he's going to ultimately be. I don't know if he's going to crash back to earth. But this has gone on long enough that you can't just call it a hot streak anymore. It's something else.
I just love that in talking about Noah Cates, one Ivy Leaguer finds a way to put over another Ivy Leaguer, Charlie, talking about Garnet Hathaway.
Yeah. They're homies.
Charlie, Jamie Drysdale had, maybe the best game of his Flyers career on Saturday. It probably was. He has the rough turnover on the Reinhart shorthanded goal in the first. Comes back to set up Frost's game-tying goal in the third with that really nice play to get the puck down low to Michkov. Where are you? What did you think of Dry Guy, the Fly Guy tonight? Did you think he backed up that performance on Saturday? It's still a work in progress. What'd you think?
Well, I loved the play he made on the power play goal. That is exactly what he needs to do if he's going to reach his ultimate upside. And John Tortorella pointed it out when we were talking about the power play goal. He specifically said, that's the kind of play. Jamie needs to see the ice better. He needs to be able to see plays and then execute them, obviously, but he needs to see them. And that was an example of him seeing the play. He obviously moves into to an open area, uses that fantastic lateral mobility, probably his best tool, and then sends a really good pass, down low to Michkov. He sees him, hovering down on that far post. It was just a really smart play by Drysdale. Was he perfect? No, of course not. Obviously, he makes a mistake, a couple of mistakes really, on that first goal, the shorthanded goal, and that was rough. But he's a work in progress. Like, these are the kinds of games when he spends 60 minutes and he's just not noticeable, that scares me.
Yeah.
This is the kind of game where I'm like, yeah, you know what? This is what happens when you're trying to develop a guy. He's going to make some big mistakes, but he's going to make some plays. These are the kinds of games I look at and I say, ultimate good. You know what? It's all good. Look, he's 22, 23 years old. He's still developing. We know that John Tortorella said this morning, he's still raw. He's a raw player. But you're seeing the talent. On that play, you saw the talent, and that's why they're not giving up on him, because they see it.
Charlie, this is my last one before we get to stars. We're talking about, right before you joined, Morgan Frost on his annual. Here he goes, second half of the season. We're in January. Let's go. Morgan Frost, 3-game goal streak now, picks up the power play goal to tie it at 3-3 in the third. I thought he was everywhere, honestly, in the second period. 3 hits tonight. Really strong game, I thought, out of Morgan Frost. How are you feeling about him? Like, is this, okay, he's building on something, or is your mind kind of made up on Morgan Frost?
I mean, I think he is what he is. I think that's what it really boils down to. Now, he had a very good game for the most part tonight. John Tortorella, however, couldn't get out of his head that awful turnover that led to the big Sam Ersson save late. But look, that was one mistake out of a game where I thought he played very well. Actually finished with 7 shots on goal, which, that about tracks with the eye test. He was making a lot of plays. He was very involved. Obviously, he scores the big goal in the third period, so props to him on that front. Look, Frost is what he is. He's a quality NHL center who if he was going to be a top of the lineup guy for a full season every season, we would have known it by now. We would have seen it by now over the course of 82 games. That said, he's not garbage. He's not a bad player. He's a perfectly fine middle six scoring center. If a team needs a middle six scoring center, he's your guy. The Flyers right now do need a guy like that because they need someone to be able to be playing with Michkov over the long term. And by long term, I sort of mean like the next couple years before hopefully they go out and they get an actual 1C at some point. And they need somebody with skill who maybe can play off Michkov. He's that guy. Right now he's not, but I suspect they'll eventually go back together because coaches change the lines all the time. Look, Bill, all I can really say is I'm sick of this conversation.
Yeah, me too.
Because there's nothing else that can be said about Morgan Frost. Like, yes, he looks like he's going to have another strong second half for the third straight season. But you're going to look at his numbers at the end of the year, and they're going to be exactly what they always are. Around 40-ish points, and that's fine. He's going to be a fine player. But if you're sitting around waiting for him to emerge as a star, like nothing he does in the second half is going to change my mind about him because he does this every year. And again, I'm not saying this to crap on him. I think he's a perfectly fine player, but he had his opportunity in the first half of the year to show that he could take the leap and be a top of the lineup guy. He didn't. Now he's just going, the best he can do this year is just prove that he still is what he is.
Break
and
even.
I fully expect him to do that because he's a perfectly good player, but he's not a great player.
Maple Leafs. Middle six
watching?
scoring center. Just saying. All right, it is now time for Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. Lots to choose from after a really fun victory for our Flyers down there at the Wells Fargo Center. So, Charlie, hit us with star number 3.
Yeah, I actually did the 3 stars tonight in the building.
Look at this guy.
Yeah. So if you were in the building, you already know what these 3 stars are going to be. But if you weren't, third star of the game is indeed Morgan Frost. Strong game, 7 shots on goal, was active in the offensive zone pretty much all game. Now, he obviously does have that really bad turnover, and if that ends up being a goal, then that's going to put a damper on the entire game. It clearly did for John Tortorella. But for me, that doesn't do anything to take away from the fact that he had a strong game, gets that big goal. Easy choice for third star.
I love that Torts is a committed hater. All right, star number 2.
Star number 2 is Sam Reinhart. This dude's just a really freaking good player. I mean, look, you could say that Jamie Drysdale, he has the turnover, and then Konechny gets turnstiled, and Ersson got pulled out of position. But you know what? That's an extremely high skill play that Sam Reinhart makes on that shorthanded goal. Like, that's the play of a superstar. And honestly, there was a time where, I didn't think he had that kind of ceiling. Like, I thought he was a good player, and he was a guy who I actually wanted the Flyers to try to trade for when he got traded to Florida instead of Ristolainen. But, hey, Ristolainen ends up turning out to be a pretty solid defenseman, too. So, whatever.
Just as good as Sam Reinhart.
Well, let's not go that far. But Reinhart is a bona fide superstar. He is. He is a bona fide superstar. And he showed tonight why he's a bona fide superstar. Fantastic player, 2-goal performance, easy second star.
Yeah, that was like the power play goal he scored, the third goal. While, yeah, I need Ersson to make that stop. This dude scored 56 last year. He's well on his way to doing that again. I kind of grade that on a curve. Yes, if Garnett Hathaway scores that goal, I'm going to be mad at the goalie, but it's a dude who might score 60. It's hard to be upset about that. All right, Charlie, star number 1.
Star number 1 is, of course, Noah Cates. Game-winning goal, 2-goal night, does everything in terms of little details as well. So it's not like he's just scoring. He's also driving play. He's also playing good defense. He's helping to kill time at the end of the game when they're up by a goal. He is emerging into something. I'm not gonna go so far as say like something special. Like, I don't think he's emerging into a star, but he's very clearly taking a leap. He is showing that he can produce offensively at the NHL level, and he's showing he can do that without sacrificing any of the other things about his game that made him interesting to begin with. All of the little details, the play driving ability, the 5-on-5 acumen, that's all still there. It's just now he's scoring goals and points, and that's really cool. And tonight, he was the best Flyer on the ice. Easy first star.
All right, that is Charlie O'Connor down at the Wells Fargo Center. Chuck, you'll be in studio for postgame tomorrow, I believe?
I will, yes.
All right, Charlie will be joining us right here, so make sure you tune in for that. That was Charlie O'Connor.
Hi, Charlie.
This is the PHLY Flyers postgame show presented by Bet 888-365. And before we hit you with the last, 10 or so minutes, I can't tell time, 20 or so minutes of tonight's show, let me tell you about Glatt Hair Restoration. All right, Glatt Hair Restoration is now under the direction of Dr. Morgan Stern, a highly respected plastic surgeon, but they still have the same peerless approach to care, same expert team, same unmatched Glatt system, same state-of-the-art location, and the same stellar results as ever because each member of this exceptionally trained team brings 30-plus years of industry experience. Hair restoration is all Glatt Hair does. Anyone can just buy the equipment and say they do hair restoration. Only Glatt Hair offers decades of proven results using an innovative approach and delivered by leaders in the industry. Whether you need laser light therapy, non-invasive TED treatments, vitamin supplementation, medications, PRP and stem cell research, or hair restoration surgery, they have you. Each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment, because not everybody has the same kind of hair. Not everyone's in the same stage of hair loss. So that's why you need the experts at Glatt Hair. Bald is now optional. If you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair is the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit GlattHairMCTR.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started today. And then once you get your hair taken care of, you got to work on that style. And that's where Shady Rays comes in, my friends. You know I love my Shady Rays. They are my sunglasses of choice. I wear sunglasses every day, and I never leave the house without my Shady Rays. And I'm not the only one, because they have been rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people, and their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. And they have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. They probably even have a pair in your favorite team's colors. And right now, exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays giving out their best deal of the season. Head to ShadyRays.com. Use code PHLY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Let's get back to tonight's game. I want to talk about the Lycksell Coots Michkov line. Now, they don't get a ton of time tonight. Lycksell ended up playing a team low 821, but just take a look over at the old naturalstattrick.com.
I've heard of
that line was the Flyers' best in terms of like possession numbers.
Is that right?
The shots on goal 6, shots against 0.
Really?
The Corsi and Fenwick numbers also like in their favor. And the expected goal numbers, it's not a ton either way, but it's still almost 90% of the expected goals while they're on the ice. So maybe a little something there in terms of, I don't know what Lycksell is. It's he's playing right now because Joel Farabee isn't. That's really what it comes down to. But I have liked the idea of Coots and Michkov together simply because it gives you a little size and Coots knows what to do.
Yeah.
Is he what he once was? No. In fact, he is most games an offensive black hole. He breaks out now and then. Like he had a hat trick 5-point game this year.
He did.
But for the most part, the offense has been few and far between with him, and that's rough for me.
Right.
And with Lycksell, it's like, okay, he might have some offensive upside, but probably needs a line driver to help that out. And the best offensive player in the line is just turned 20 years old.
Right.
You know, it's a work in progress. There aren't really right answers for this lineup. We've said that all year, but it's working out kind of well.
Yeah, it's actually interesting to hear that was such an effective line tonight, because just by eye test, based on my memory of the game that we watched 5 minutes ago, I would not have guessed that was the Flyers' most effective line. Lycksell specifically was much less noticeable than he was on Saturday against the Ducks, where I thought he looked pretty good. I know there's no right answer, and I do agree that Coots and Michkov make a little bit of sense, but I would really like to see him with Cates for a minute, with Cates and Forster.
It would be... Bobby Brink has played well.
I got no quarrel with Bobby Brink on that line. This is not about him. It's more about just seeing what Michkov can bring with those two guys.
That's like Bobby Brink has played well, and because that line has been rolling, I think the drivers of that line are Cates and Forster, and maybe I realize you don't want to break it up, but maybe you just give it a look. Maybe you give it a look, because while I realize like there's sometimes a disconnect, like you and I, well, we just want to see the best possible Matvei Michkov. Like that's like him winning the Calder. That's like the point of this season. You know, if he doesn't, he doesn't. Who really cares? But it would be a lot of fun if he did. But just in terms of like, if this team wants to make the playoffs, they have a ton of trouble scoring most nights. Maximizing Matvei Michkov, your second best scoring player, like the number, he's still second on the team in scoring, which and he's wild. Got like 5 points in his last 17 games or something.
Seriously.
Like he is still your second best offensive player. Maximizing him, perhaps with a line driver in Cates and in Forster, and guys who, not just Forster, now Cates is like, they can score a little bit. they can score.
They can do some stuff.
Maybe that would be a way to have like two effective lines if Frost can keep it up in between Tippett, who will be hot and cold, but when he's hot, he's awesome, and Travis Konechny, who is the team's best player. Like maybe then with two good offensive lines really going, you might be able to get into the playoffs if that is Tortorella's goal.
Yeah, I would like to see him mix it up a little bit. And also I would kind of I'm curious to see if Farabee gets back in after this game.
Yeah, I would be interested to see.
Obviously, Lycksell didn't play a lot. He wasn't that noticeable when he was on the ice. So it wasn't like Saturday where it was like a dominant performance with Lycksell playing well enough to be noticed. This was kind of a mixed bag of a game, and Lycksell didn't really do anything. So it'll be interesting to see if Farabee gets back in. And I think maybe switching things up a little bit, maybe you give Beezer a little bit more of an opportunity to get something going. I don't know. I feel like there is some potential there for, like, just by adjusting that one line, like taking the guy that matters the least off of your most effective line, putting your arguably most talented player on that line, like maybe something happens there.
So
maybe some things fall into place.
I'm trying to think, that would leave Couturier, Farabee, Brink.
Yeah.
Couturier and Farabee were playing together in the fourth line before the scratches. We've seen Brink and Farabee have some chemistry in the past. So maybe that's a thing. We'll see. My mind is made up on Joel Farabee, but I also don't want to sell him at his lowest possible value.
No point in trading him now.
Like if you're going to trade him for a third round pick, just keep him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, who cares?
The third round pick will not be better than Joel Farabee.
No, it'll be what you have.
Yeah.
So,
if you're lucky.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe you can get him going a little bit. If your plan is to sell him, then maybe that'll work. But I would like to see. It's not the most important thing in the world to me if they make the playoffs, but John Tortorella wants to. Like, that's his goal.
It would be fun.
That's why he's playing Sam Ersson so much.
Yeah.
Before we get to the super chats, Kelly, you're not going to be with us for a studio show on Wednesday, and unless tomorrow's game is a total drag, which, listen, Columbus has been playing well. The Flyers are coming off 2 strong games. I don't expect it to be a total drag.
It might be a good game.
Might be a good one. But you're not going to be here Wednesday probably, and we're going to talk about the quarter century team then. So I at least want to get your thoughts on the Flyers.
I have some.
Quarter century team. So the NHL has been naming each team's, best 10 skaters and 2 goalies since January 1st, 2000. So since the second half of the 99-2000 season till now, 2025, that's 25 years. What did you make of this?
Well, one of those things, not like the others. I'll let you guess which one that is.
I had...
Spoiler, it's Ivan Provorov.
Yeah, I had 2 objections with the list.
So he was not here that long and was not that good when he was here.
Yeah, and just...
Are we retconning the Ivan Provorov era? Like he was a disappointment. That's why we traded him.
He did play, 532 games.
Did he play that many?
So that would be the most, it looks like. Oh, Braden Coburn, 576.
See, I would have put Braden Coburn on this list.
You would have put Braden Coburn on.
Coburn over Provorov if I'm picking between those 2.
I would have gone Shane Gostisbehere.
I mean, yes, but I could see why the Flyers would never.
Yeah, especially with him still active.
Right, exactly.
But Ivan Provorov, they're going to go play him tomorrow.
I know.
I don't know. Provy had some pop seasons and everything, but like the first 3 years, like Ghost's rookie year is the most fun we've had as Flyers fans in this decade.
Yes, that's fair.
Quite honestly, like that 2016 rookie season, and he's the runner-up for Calder, I believe. And now, yeah, it's the reason McDavid didn't run away with it is because Brandon Manning injured him on purpose. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
But I would just like the way it ended with Provorov and the amount of fun we had with
interesting choice.
With Ghost, like I probably would have gone that. But Coburn just for longevity, maybe. Yeah, that makes sense. Like almost 600 games.
Also, do you find it interesting? So, like, obviously, when I think of Eric Lindros, I think of him as a 90s player. But we had this conversation earlier. I think of Eric Desjardins as a 90s player. So, is it weird that Eric Lindros is not on this list?
I'm trying to think because it was.
I mean, I don't think
he gets hurt into. Does he ever
play again?
The only time he played for us in 2000 might be the Devils series.
Okay.
When did he actually get injured in 99, 2000 and then come back?
All right, maybe it makes sense. Perfect sense that he's not on this list.
He got hurt. He did play a little in 2000 before the injury.
Okay.
He played 21 games that season.
I mean, I'm quibbling. He's a 90s player if we're being real with ourselves. He's a 90s player. Some people in the chat have brought up Wayne Simmons. It's interesting, but I don't know who you take off to put Wayne Simmons on. That's the problem.
I can't argue. Maybe Richards, but like I don't want to take off Richards.
Absolutely. The F not. We don't take Mike Richards off for Wayne Simmons. Sorry, Wayne Simmons.
Maybe Coots, but honestly, Sean Couturier. One, he's like third or fourth on the team in scoring since 2000.
He won a
he has won the only major trophy this organization has won, like other than like a Jennings or something, but that's like kind of a team award. He's won the only individual award this team has won since Eric Lindros won an MVP.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you take Coots off. Also, he's the current captain of the team. You know, like the current, like this was an NHL and Flyers thing. Like they're going to want like, oh yeah, our current captain's on the list. I would also sub out Czechmanek for Steve Mason.
I agree that Mason should have been one of the goaltenders. I don't want to, I feel like you could argue that he should go in over Boucher, but Brian Boucher was like.
Boucher had too many moments. I might make him number one. Just because of the moments.
Yeah, you're right.
And like, who's been to more conference? Like, he's the only goalie that's taken us to a conference final.
That's
true.
True.
Like, who was it? Escher, Biron? I can't even remember in 08. Biron? One of those two. But like, I just like they mentioned it on the broadcast. Like he backstopped, like or he like bookended it. Like 2000.
Yeah.
He takes them like he did 5 overtime game. He has the awesome save against the Devils with his helmet popping off. Goes to Game 7 against the Devils. Played awesome in those playoffs. And then in 2010, like he beat Hank in a shootout.
Hank in the shootout to get to the playoffs. He did the dance. Yeah. Iconic.
So I can't take him off. I might even make him one. But like Steve Mason 104 wins, leads all Flyers goalies in that time.
Steve Mason does not get the proper amount of respect that he deserves.
918 save percentage, leads all Flyers goalie. Roman Czechmanek was at 923. But again, like 221 starts to 157. Like Czechmanek had a couple of years. And you can say the same thing about Chris Pronger, but Chris Pronger is one of the greatest players of all time. He's on the list. Yeah. And they went to the conference, or they went to the Stanley Cup final. So I'm taking Chris Pronger. He's like one of the 4 best defensemen ever. So that's it on the quarter century. Charlie and I will probably get into this a little bit more on Wednesday, but I wanted to get Hinks into it. And I know we have a whole bunch of super chats. So let's get to the super chats. Wow, we actually have, it's like a backwards day. We have the leadoff, our leadoff man, Vince Pellegrini. I am sorry for the slander to Noah Cates. Listen,
Vince is an honorable man.
This doesn't change the year he had last year. It's just more information. Like, we can now say, oh, that rookie year is closer to who he is. And last year, the injuries, playing on the 4th line, like just really could never get going. And perhaps now, I don't think he's going to be every 16 games he has 14 points, but he looks like he's a damn good middle 6 center. Yeah. Like a one you can win with as a 3C.
You don't have to apologize for changing your opinion based on new information.
That's just what smart people do.
We weren't wrong about Rasmus Ristolainen. He stunk.
Yes.
Now he doesn't. So now my opinion of him is different because he plays differently. That's how it kind of works. And Vince had an opinion based on available evidence at the time. And now, as a smart person, he's changed it.
John Tortorella, who's going to the Hall of Fame, changed his opinion. He was scratching Noah Cates for an 18-year-old who wasn't dynamic. It's not like the 18-year-old was Connor McDavid out there. Like, I think Jet Luchenko is going to be a quality player, maybe even more than that.
Here's hoping.
He was just some guy that they were like, let's see how it goes. Yeah, because we don't have any centers. Now Noah Cates comes in and he is fixing that we don't have any centers problem. All right, the other one from Vince, of course, why not us? Vince, I very much apologize for not bringing the belt tonight. This is what happens when you put me in charge of things. We forget about them sometimes.
We're gonna handcuff it to Bill's
Kelly has
body.
made all of my work decisions and plans for like 5 years. I mean, you plan all the parties and all that stuff. Like you do all the work. I just put together an outline. Say, let's talk about some hockey. All right, from JH.
Friend of the pod.
Ersson's still the number one. He's getting back into it. Amazing finish when they needed him.
Hard to argue with the finish.
It was a very, very strong performance. And, like, 2 of the goals, we need a save on, like, all 3 of them. 2 of them are off the stick of Reinhart. It's really hard to argue with a guy who scored 56 last year, has almost 30 through half the year this year.
First 2 goals, not great.
Yeah,
After
those
that,
first
good.
2, like, and Reinhart undressed 3 people en route to that first. It's still, they just need one more save every game. Tonight they were able to rally, but they usually don't score 4 goals.
I was prepared for us to be having a conversation about that second goal costing them the game, but the Flyers decided that scoring goals was a good idea.
They were able to rally back, so that's the best part. But the strong finish, hopefully, like he can build himself a little bit momentum because he's their best goalie, believe it or not. It's just they've all been letting up 1 or 2 too many weak goals. Yeah. All right, another one here from JH. This means the Flyers have won the cup. That is how it works, right? Yes, it's the Flyers.
You beat the defending champions. You are now the champion.
There are people who quibble with calling them the defending champions because, like, if they're defending, that means the title is on the line. But these are non-title matches until the playoffs. You still have to beat they're the champions until they're eliminated, and now there's no champion, and we have to crown a new one. That's how it works in my mind in wrestling.
Are these like the people that yell at everyone for saying offsides?
Yes, absolutely.
Right, yeah.
You know.
Offside.
From Obi-Wan.
Mike. We're loving the Mike.
So you told me that I did not know the reason. I just
didn't know either.
Mish Mike, like they're just calling him Mike because it's funny. But there's a reason for it, and you told me tonight.
I learned in the Broad Street Hockey Slack chat that this is apparently because they've decided that he reminds them of Mike Tyson because of his similarly thick neck.
And he does, like,
his neck have quite a trunk on him.
It's like the same, like the top of his head. Like the top of his head and his chin are like the same width. Like it's like a brick.
It's like a toe.
It's just it's just like a square. He looks hard as shit. Like
The prevailing theory is that a bunch of these children probably watched Mike Tyson fight that dude.
Yes.
And then they were like
that's Mish.
Mike, you got
You're
that
Mike.
same neck. Mike's Mike. Mike, Mish, Mike.
And he's just
Mike.
sitting there
and now
smiling.
They're just Mike. Yeah,
he's
like, yes,
smiling,
me,
laughing
Mike.
at it.
Yes.
Like, yeah, sure.
I have friends now. This is great.
Yeah, you can call me Mike Tyson.
Exactly.
That sounds wonderful.
It's wonderful.
All
it's
right.
better than most hockey nicknames.
Honestly, it's more creative than 98% of hockey nicknames. All right, we have one from Gary B here. The Cates train kept it rolling tonight. Let's effing go Flyers. Yeah, man, I keep expecting it to stop. He had a couple of games with no points, and here he is again, like best player on the ice, other than maybe Sam Reinhart tonight, who's a superstar. That was Noah Cates. He won the Flyers the game tonight. So hard to argue with what we've seen out of him. And before we go any further, just want to say we appreciate those of you watching on TV, whether it's Roku, Xfinity, whatever it might be, Samsung TV Plus, that's the other one. We appreciate all of you. Head over to allphly.com for more of the show whenever you get the chance. All right, we're going to finish up with a few more super chats here. And this one from Corey. I'm happy Tippett got his cardio in tonight.
He did some skating.
He made some plays. He had some almosts, but that's Tippett, man. You're just I hope to God one day he takes another step, or he at least has one of those pop seasons where it's like, yo, he went for 40.
That would be so nice.
It would be. Hopefully, maybe
it'll coincide with the team
it'll
being
be
good.
in a year where it matters.
Yeah.
You know, like a year where
He's saving it for that.
a year where we have a center and a goalie, and it's like we could like get to a conference final
When
this
we
year.
make it to the offs, he's going to be hot fire with that orange hair.
But this is you just accept Tippett for what he is at this point. Sometimes he's awesome, and sometimes he's not. All right,
JH again.
another from JH here. Rams know the assignment now. 27-9 Rams, go Birds. I was just checking that during
we're rooting for the Rams.
I think it's it looks like still 27-9, about 10 minutes left. So it looks like it's going to be Eagles Rams next Sunday at
Do we like this?
I think it's 3, Brenna. I think the Rams are the worst of the 3 teams that they could have potentially played in this little scenario here. All right. Finally, from our boy Socrates. I'd say that, but I don't know if Socrates is a man or a woman. Socrates Johnson. We were at the game tonight. My 2-year-old was flipping the bird to a Panthers fan after the 4th goal. That's outstanding. You're
for the record,
great parent. Love it.
Bill and I do know that it's Socrates, but we both watch Bill and Ted a lot.
This is were you here when I had the revelation?
No.
That Socrates Johnson, when they bring all the historical figures home, and Bill is introducing them all, and he like mixes up their names a little so his mom doesn't catch on, stepmom, and then he realizes like she doesn't know anything. Abe Lincoln. He introduced him as Socrates Johnson. Did he? The name is a Bill and Ted reference.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Yes. Okay, that's awesome.
And with that.
It makes me very happy.
With that,
our audience gets us.
That has been the PHLY Flyers postgame show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We'll be back tomorrow, Charlie and I in studio for pre and post game. So make sure you tune in at, I assume, 6:30. I don't know the schedule until it happens.
It's 6:30.
But yeah, it's probably a 7 o'clock puck drop tomorrow. So hit that reminder bell. Never miss a live show. We'll be back then. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers and follow the podcast as well. Wherever you get those, just search PHLY Flyers. That's it. My name's Bill Matz. That's Kelly Hinkle. Until next time, let's go Flyers.
We all silly like the mayor.